Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Kitchen Party. How do we dance to this?
What kind of crazy music is this? I feel like it's 3 a.m. and I'm in a nightclub in the 70s.
I got fallen asleep. I'm like. Melody. What? Wait, we have to have a discussion with our producer for a second. Melody, sounds like that do not work on openings. That doesn't get us rising. Oh, you people. Welcome to Kitchen Party. I'm Babette Pepaj, the founder of BakeSpace.com and the co-host of Kitchen Party, which is a web series that airs every week on Google+, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And we bring to you the coolest people. Whoop, I just saw a man in the background, or a child. This is going to be a great show. I can already tell. He has to say hi. He has to say hi.
No. That is a rule. If you walk by, you have to stop and say hello.
I'm sorry. So for those of you who are watching who either know the show or you're new to the show, don't forget, if you use the hashtag KitchenParty, all one word, on Google Plus or on Twitter, we will get your questions live on the air, and we will actually show them during our show, and we'll talk about them, and we'll ask our guest questions. And also, you can just, if you just want to chat with us, totally feel comfortable about using that hashtag. Let me introduce my co-host, Rene Lynch. Rene Lynch, do you want to tell the folks a little bit about you? And I will turn I'm getting all these tweets coming in, by the way, all live with the Kitchen Party hashtag. Do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure, yeah. I'm Rene Lynch. I'm a writer and editor at the LA Times. I work across a number of feature sections, including food and health. And I'm glad to be here to talk about surprise inside cakes.
Well,
because I love cake. I'm all about cake.
I love cake too, so I'm
and
really
cake was a surprise.
Now, I don't know if you guys are really familiar with Amanda Rettke. She is the publisher and also blogger, writer, photographer, pretty much does everything at iambaker.net is the fabulous website that she's been running. I don't know, Amanda, how long have you been running the website?
That's been about 3 years, I think.
Fabulous. And you're also the author of a new cookbook that just came out, which is sort of, I think it's almost beyond a cookbook. It's like a whole, Rene is actually showing the book right now. It's called Surprise Inside Cakes. And I think just the cover kind of, at least that shows, Rene, can you put that up again? That's what she's been able to do.
That's the cover.
You can put a cake inside of a cake. So what we're going to do today is we're going to learn a little bit about Amanda. She's also going to do some step-by-step of how she did some of these cakes. But first, let's just start from the beginning. How did this come about? How did you come up with the idea of doing a cake inside of a cake?
Well, I got married and moved to the country, and little, like, Podunk, Minnesota, where we had nothing. We had no stores. I mean, the closest bakery was Walmart, you know, and so I started having babies, and then I kept having babies, and they kept having, like, birthdays and stuff, and so I had to make things. Like, I had to prepare and have people over, and I had no concept of how to do anything in the kitchen whatsoever, and I still can't cook to save my life. So that's why Rene saves me sometimes, because I look at your tweet and I'm like, oh, that looks like good food. I should be feeding my family, not mac and cheese. But anyway, so
mac and cheese is good.
It is 5 days a week. No, okay. So so I was making a cake for a church function that we were going to, and I had just gotten it in my head that everyone was going to be doing a pumpkin cake. There was like an orange cake with a green stem. I was like, well, I need to make mine different. So I'm going to make mine a jack-o'-lantern, and I'm going to put a candle on the inside of it. And since I haven't really quite figured out how to put an open flame inside cake yet, I will.
Yeah.
Kidding, I won't. So I decided, well, just make cake inside the cake. And so I just did it. And it worked. And we all loved it and ate it. And I'd like to say that I basically got there because no one told me not to. Like, I had no training, no formal experience, nothing. That cake was made completely from box cake mix, and it just happened because I didn't know any better. It was a dumb mistake, I guess you could say.
How did you even come up with the idea of putting something inside something? I'm still, it stumps me.
I like literally think it was just because I didn't know any better. Like, I was so clueless when it comes to cake, and like most people, you decorate the outside, and I was just like, I want to put a candle on the inside, and like I really thought that when I first did it, I thought that was a normal progression of things, like that, like people were gonna cut it and be like, oh yeah, great job, not a big deal.
What was the reaction like the first time somebody actually cut into the cake and found something else?
Well, the first reaction, that cake never made it to the church potluck because we cut it ourselves and we were like, ah! So the first cake was actually on my blog that I had, public exposure to, and that was probably why anyone knows who I Am Baker is at this point, because obviously my baking skills are not, if I started out loving the box of cake mix, my baking skills weren't what brought people in. It was the creativity, I think, behind it, and maybe doing things that were a little bit different than what other people are doing. So the response that I got was very, very good, I guess you could say.
Yeah, over on Twitter, Carla's Confections. Hey, Carla, thank you for joining us.
Carla!
She says Amanda is stinking hilarious. So I think that attitude has struck a chord with people. Also, over on Twitter, we have Amanda Pa. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, or Pay maybe. And Kimberly Tronic 2 has also joined us again. Hey, Kimberly. Thanks very much for shooting us some tweets, and use the Kitchen Party hashtag so we can keep up with that during the course of the show. Thanks for joining us, though.
Those are some fabulous ladies. What's up, girls?
Rene, I got to tell you something. I already told Amanda this, but usually, at the Kitchen Party, we all have a cocktail. And because I'm in a hotel in New York City, and we just did our TECHmunch food blogger conference, I forgot to pack my alcohol. I forgot. So I'm without, but I'm drinking fruit juice with caffeine. This is like a leftover from our conference. The new
okay, usually what happens is by the end of the show, she's totally, Amanda, just so you know, she's totally sauced. She makes no sense. She's slurring her words because she's drinking. Now she's going to be totally hyped up by the end of the show.
If anyone wants to party,
like your first sober experience.
If anyone wants to party
in the morning, sorry. Go ahead.
If anyone's in New York City and who's here, and at 4 a.m. if you want to party, you let me know because I will be awake. I'm trying not to drink too much. I've decided. Rene, what are you drinking?
Actually, you know what? I'm making fun of you, but you know what, Babette? I'm drinking water.
Amanda, what are you drinking?
I am super sick right now, and I haven't eaten food or consumed anything other than water in 3 days, so water for me. That's why I sound kind of funny and I'm all swollen, just so everyone knows.
I'm so happy you did
I look like this the next time I'm sick. I would not be able to be on a Google Hangout if I were sick.
I dragged myself out of bed and put rollers in my hair and then dragged myself back to bed. It was the extent of it. So I love you girls. Anything for you.
I get sick just so I can drink the NyQuil. No, I'm just
wait a second. You don't need to be sick to get on the NyQuil train.
Rene, do you know that Amanda has 5 children?
I can't believe that. That's one of the questions I wanted to ask her. How did she manage to start a blog and keep up a blog with 5 kids? I mean, I just think that for some of us, it's just difficult to kind of get through the day, much less taking care of youngins and do something creative like that. It's crazy.
See, and I kind of have the perspective that I have it easier than the average working mom, working woman, because I can do so many things in off times. I can bake a cake at 11 o'clock at night and do a blog post at 5 in the morning. So I don't have the typical hours. So I think, I don't want to undermine myself, but I feel like I maybe even just have it easier just by way of what I do. I think most moms are amazing, and I don't know how you get up every day and go to work and have a smile on your face and look fabulous. I just assume every woman is like the Devil Wears Prada, where it's like full-on makeup and outfit and everything, and I'm all like, I've been wearing this T-shirt for 5 days. Is that a problem? That was chocolate cake. That was vanilla cake. What's up? No, so.
How old are your kids?
My oldest is 9, so it's 9, 7, 5, 3, and then my youngest will be 1 at the end of this month.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like every 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm just thinking of the labor. I'm just already.
I had 5 cesareans, so I only labored with the first one, and so that that was another.
Oh my
gosh. I'm totally lazy. What can I say?
You're 5 kids and counting. 5 kids and cake.
Wait, I think we got a reality TV show here, right?
That's it.
So let's talk about the blog, because a lot of the audience, they're food bloggers, or they're home cooks who are thinking about creating content and thinking about making YouTube videos and making cooking shows and writing their own cookbook. How did the blog start? So maybe let's go back from the beginning. Was it just like a way to archive your recipes, or what were you looking to do?
Well, I started my mommy blog over 10 years ago, and that was, it's called I Am Mommy, and so that was many, many years of me just blogging about really boring mommy things, and nobody read it.
I thought it was the opposite. I thought the mommy thing came after.
No, so I had this blog, I Am Mommy, for, I would say 5 or 6 years, and I was like, I was doing all this, and at that time it was all sugar cookies, and I don't know if you remember this, Rene, but that's how we met.
Yes, I do.
For my sugar cookie recipe was chosen as the LA Times one of their best cookies, something like that, and so I was doing all these sugar cookies, and I was like, I need to get them off my mommy blog because my readers don't want to read this. And, it was literally 3 people that were like, we want to see pictures of your kids. And it was my mom. That was it. But so I was like, I'll start this other blog called I Am Baker. So that's how I got I Am Baker from I Am Mommy, which was really quite pompous on my part because I was not a baker. Like, I didn't know anything about anything. But so I started it, and I want to say within 6 months I had, maybe 10 times the readership that I Am Mommy ever had, and a lot of my blog was not recipes. It was just how to decorate things. And so up until I want to say the last 6 months to a year, I never even considered myself a food blogger because I didn't have what I thought was the original content that people needed, and I didn't have how other people had defined me. I didn't have all that, and so I was always doubting myself and never really appreciated just what I had to offer. And so that's another part of my advice I would give people. If you have something that you're passionate about, make your blog about that. That will sustain you. That will keep you in the long haul. If you're just getting recipes up there to have content, you're going to burn out hard and fast, probably. I mean, that sounds really woeful. Maybe that's just me. Never mind.
Well, no, I think that's a really good suggestion because, let's face it, for a lot of us, I'm not really a baker at all. I'm kind of, cookies, that's maybe the adventures that I get. Right, exactly. I'm a drinker, not a baker.
Be honest, Rene.
But if you take a box cake and you make your box cake, then you could kind of get creative with the decorating and do some other stuff with it. Because to me, the scary part about baking is making sure everything is measured, and I often will get through trying to bake something and think, did I put the sugar in there? Did I put, and I forget stuff. But the hard part is taken care of with a box cake. Now you can put the creativity into doing other cool stuff with it. So I think that's is a very clever approach to help people do that kind of stuff. And really, people maybe want that creative outlet, So I think that was a good way to go with that.
Thank you.
Do you remember what were some of the first things that took off with readers?
Well, people did like the decorated sugar cookies, but that was honestly too time-consuming for me with the kids, and so because that's like a many, many, many days process and drying time, and apparently people don't like cookies with like fingerprints in them and stuff. I don't know. They're all picky. But so it started with decoration cookies, and then I started doing the surprise inside cakes. I think that's kind of what people liked and wanted to see more of. I actually wrote the book in 2011. So every cake that is in that book was done 3 years ago. It just took a while to get it all published and edited. I think editing was hard for the book because there was no one that was an expert in that field. There was no one that could go through and say, this isn't how you do a surprise inside cake. So I was basically telling them how you do a surprise inside cake, and so that kind of added to the length of the process.
How did the book deal come about? Did you write the book and then pitch it, or did someone approach you and say, we want you to write a book?
So I'll tell you the story, if that's okay. How it came about is I got a phone call one day from a prospective agent, and she was like, I really like your blog, and I think you should write a book. And so I had never thought about it to that point, and actually it was a prospective publisher. It was Abrams Publishers. And so I really like your blog, and I think you should write a book. And so I said, okay. And so then like 3 days later, I got a call from an agent who said, and this was out of the blue, and she said, I like your blog, I follow your blog, I think you need a literary agent, I think you should write a book. And so now I'm really thinking about it, like, really? Is this something that could possibly happen? And then I happened to get in touch with who my agent is, which is Allison Fargus from Stonesog in New York, who's amazing. But she, so we connected. This was a week after my first phone call from Abrams. We connected, and she said, let's do a proposal. Let's put something together. And so I put together a proposal, and this is something that I want to share with like bloggers in general. My proposal for my book was 100% content from my blog. There was nothing new. Everything had been published. Everything had been seen before by everyone, and that was what we submitted. Don't come over here.
Yes, come over here. Yeah.
No, come over and say hello.
Okay, Audrey, you can come say hi. And so come here quickly, and then you must go.
Don't.
Here's Audrey. Say hi.
Hello.
Say,
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. Okay, bye-bye.
Oh my gosh, she's so adorable.
Yes, very curious. So I put together a proposal, and that was very quickly done, and then we submitted it to Abrams because Abrams had said, we want you to write a book based on your blog. And so we submitted it, and it was very exciting, and I thought for sure this was going to be it. And so like we got the phone call, and they were like, absolutely not. We're flat out rejecting this. We don't want anything to do with it. So I cried many a tear and didn't understand why this was happening, and my agent was like, listen, this is great news. You know, Abrams, they would have been limited in what they could have offered and done. This is great. Let's shop it around. And so, yay, and so we decided to shop it around, and like in one day we did a whirlwind of interviews with potential publishers and ended up signing with William Morrow or HarperCollins. So my editor, Cassie Morgan, she's also the editor of the Pioneer Woman's books. And so I can't help but think that Ree had something to do with that a little bit, because I know she's too humble to admit it, but
like nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yes.
I help this. This is my girl. I got this.
Yeah. So going with Cassie, and then from then on, it's been amazing. They've been the best publishers I could ever imagine working with.
Isn't that incredible? That's something that turned out that you thought, oh, this is so sad, this fell through, actually was probably the best thing that could have happened during that process.
Yes, totally. I was devastated and cried and yes. And then the way it all turned out in the end, I couldn't be happier with it all.
Wow. That is incredible. It always works out, right? Things work out the way they're supposed to. There's a bigger plan.
What was that lead time from when the publisher said, "Hey, this is a go," to it actually being in bookstores? What was that process like, and how long did that take?
So I did all the cakes, and then I had a photographer come and shoot them. So her name was Susan Powers. She came to my home, and so we'd shoot. I'm sorry, I slapped my teeth. No. It felt like. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do want to put a call out to Jody Fritz. She's watching on Google Plus as well. And Brooks Walker also said he was going to tune in and he was going to watch the rewind. And Shirley Mitchell also said hello. And a few more people. Jeanette Lee also said, new to the party, figuring out how to party on with everyone. What's up? What's up?
What's up, Jeanette?
What's up, Jeanette Lee? She's probably really confused right now. Like, oh my God, this really is live. She's trying to figure out. So basically how this works, just before we go into that question, is we are in the show. We have our guest, Rene, Lynch, and I. We are the co-hosts. We ask a whole bunch of questions, but we rely on you guys to ask questions too, and we follow along on Twitter and on Google+, and we ask our guest the questions. So if you have questions for Amanda, use the hashtag KitchenParty, and we will make sure she gets it. So that's kind of how this works. And then we archive these videos on our YouTube channel and on our event page, and you can watch the replay anytime you want. So if you can't watch the whole show today, you come back later. Just make sure you RSVP so you know where to find the page. All right, so the question was, what was my question? I'm like,
oh, the time frame.
Am I drinking? The time frame, yeah. So what was that process like too?
So when we signed the contract with HarperCollins, that was December of 2011, and then December, November 2011, and then I did all the cakes, which was about 60 cakes in roughly 30, 45 days, and so Susan came to my house and we shot them. So it was sometimes 5 to 8 cakes a day that we would take pictures of. And then we basically submitted the ones that weren't wretched to the publisher, the images. And then from that point on, it was about a year until I kind of heard from them again. I don't know why. But, and then they came back and were like, so, do you have tutorials for these? And so, yes. So then I had to write all of the recipes for everything. It was kind of funny when we were figuring out everything with the book because, it's a cookbook with 5 recipes in it. So it's over 300 pages and there's 5 recipes. So nobody could really figure out what I was doing with the book, and I think HarperCollins had a hard time figuring out how to get the name out there because no one was ever searching for Surprise Inside Cakes, and certainly no one was gonna pre-order it because what in the heck was she talking about? And so I think they had a challenge in front of them on how they were gonna market everything.
They were like, it's all the cover because you see that cover and it is amazing. I mean, you just want to buy that book immediately.
Thank you.
Rene, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I think that I think you're totally right that the cover really, when you hear Surprise Inside Cakes, it's kind of confusing, and then the cover really sells it. I think that what you went through kind of goes to the issue that some people have with publishers, that they need to have like a sentence or something that they can hang their hat on, that they can describe. And if you have to start to stumble or try to get your arms around an idea, it can just make it that much more difficult to sell. But I think that this proves that you don't need just something super, super simple, that you can come up with something perhaps maybe a little more complicated or a little more challenging, and if you find the right way to package it and present it, that people will embrace it.
Oh, definitely. That's a really good point.
Well, let's go through. Oh, go ahead. Were you going to say?
No, go.
Oh, no, I was going to say, well, I'd love to start going through a couple of the cakes because we have a couple cakes. We're going to do it's going to be an interesting kind of how-to where we're going to go through a whole bunch of the pictures and the steps that Amanda does for some of her cakes to give you an idea and some insight into how these cakes can be put together so that when you buy the book, you'll be able to come back to this video, wink, wink, and sort of get a real hands-on experience of like when you see the picture and you see the recipes, you'll be able to come back and look at some of the videos. So should we start with the first? Amanda, which recipe would you like to start with first?
Whatever's in queue, I'm good with.
Hey, Babette, before we get to the pictures, let me just give a shout out to some of the folks who are watching over on Twitter. Kimberly Tronic, she's referring to our drinking talk before. She says Babette with cocktails puts the party in kitchen party. And Amanda says that she also, like me, she does not understand how Amanda gets all of her stuff done. She says, yes, I don't know how I Am Baker Tweets does it either. I only have a cat and can hardly get things done. So we're definitely admiring your time management skills. Basket Case Eat is also joining us. And Amanda also says that it's so true that when you blog, that you want to blog about something that you're passionate about, as Amanda, you said earlier, not just things to fill content. And Kimberly also said it was an interesting tidbit that you pointed out that your book proposal was all content from your blog. So if somebody is thinking about maybe trying to package content together for a book proposal, they don't necessarily have to feel like they have to start from scratch, because that can seem like a very high burden, that they can maybe cull content from the blog. And then Jody from Jody Bakes Cake says, I can't believe how long it's been since I participated in a kitchen party. I miss you, BakeSpace and Rene Lynch. Well, we miss you too. Welcome back, Jody. We appreciate it.
This is my little hug.
Yay! Hug, KP hug.
You know how they do that thing, like all the youth, where they do the little heart and everyone's like, oh, it's like a Bieber thing or something like that, and they're like, I heart you. Or not Bieber. Is it, what's her name? Who's the youth like her? What is that? Who is that girl? She's crazy. She like dresses all crazy.
50. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know
the singer. Yeah, she does it. And she's like My Little Monsters.
Oh, Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga.
Yeah, I was like, she's like the modern Madonna. I was like, I think maybe she's the one that does this. I'm not sure. But our new thing is this.
Kitchen party hug.
I'm going to say something really stupid.
You have to keep an eye on Amanda Pa, though, the one tweeting you. She's putting her own book out. She's pretty darn amazing. She's too humble to say it, but keep an eye on her. She's gonna do big things, I'm sure.
Oh, can you repeat that? You know what? I'm sorry, I missed that. You said Amanda is doing some.
Amanda Pa, P-A-A. Yeah, she's
okay.
Tweeting along with it, but she's got a book coming out. I think it's this fall.
Oh, Amanda, keep us posted on that. You know what? And I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt again. Before we get to the before we get to the pictures, Amanda says sometimes it's hard to talk about yourself when you're writing a book, but of course it's important. How do you handle that? Maybe you can talk a little bit about that. Did you have any difficulty kind of putting yourself out there?
You know, I got to be really honest here. It's been awesome. Because I never talk about myself. I'm always talking about my kids or my husband or my family. And so, like, I would go to a book signing and people would ask me questions about me and then want to hear the answer. And it was like, it was like a little glory moment. Like, really? Like, I love you all. It was just, I have had no problem stepping into this role. And so, like, participating in something like this, like, I had to ask my husband, so do you think they're going to want to talk about me the whole time, or are we going to do something else? Because that's a long time, and it could get boring. And he's like, just stop, relax, you're fine. But, I mean, yes, it's hard to, I think it's hard on social media to be constantly promoting yourself. That drains me and causes me great anxiety. But situations like this, where it's like an interview type thing, like I could not be more happy with it. I love what you girls are doing.
Great.
Oh,
okay, now I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop interrupting, and now we can get to pictures, okay? I'm going to shut up now.
Okay.
Like that I have to announce that I'm going to shut up.
Okay, now what are we seeing here? And then Melody, make sure that you, two things. One is Kim Tronic, if you can, if you're listening to this. If you can tweet out the URL, also I posted on Twitter with the tiny URL. It's bit.ly/IamBaker. If you can retweet that out so that folks who are just tuning in or who are just chiming into Twitter can tune in as well. That'd be cool. And then Melody, if you can put it on, if you can take over cameraman so we can make sure that the pictures, like when Rene and I butt in and we talk, that doesn't go to us, so that it goes to Amanda and the cakes, that would be awesome.
I'm also going to retweet that out too, Babette. Good idea.
Okay, cool. So Melody, or not Melody, Melody. It's Melody. Amanda, what's the first cake? That's a bumblebee.
I think that's my bumblebee cake, and so that was inspired by Bridget at bakeat350.blogspot.com. She, as I mentioned, I started with cookies, decorated sugar cookies, and she is, forever will be my cookie idol. And so she put out a cookie, I think it was in 2008 or 2009, that was a bumblebee cookie. And so not long after I did the jack-o'-lantern cake, I was like, I have to do a bumblebee. I have to do something, in honor of Bridget. And so that's where the idea for that cake came from. Putting it, I don't know.
In Australia?
Is what?
I can't remember. Is she in Australia? Bridget?
Nope, she's in Texas.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Why was I thinking she was in Australia? I don't know.
I don't know. Are you sure there's not alcohol?
How hard was that to do?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. This is all vodka. How did you do that?
Well, so are we doing a step-by-step with pictures, or do you want me just to kind of explain it?
Melody, when you gave us the photos, did you give us step-by-step for this cake too? Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, so there's the finished cake, and that so that's just a cake with a crumb coat and finish coat, and then it's chocolate piped on for the little bee trail, and then nobody can tell what that is, but that's a little bee at the top that's sticking out of the cake. I should have made it better, but hey, next book.
So it's like the little antenna, like it's inside, but then when you cut it, you see the rest of it?
There you go, sure. No, it's actually supposed to be a little chocolate bee, like a little tiny chocolate with a little bee thing. You have to look at it close. And then I think there are step-by-step pictures for that cake.
Oh.
That's a cherry.
Doesn't this just say summer?
So then there's the cherry cake.
Yeah, we'll go through the pictures, and when Melody gets to the step-by-step, we'll continue on. Everyone will remember they've seen the other one.
Oh, that's pretty. So that cake was the design on the outside was done on my blog already. I just was in love with those colors. And then so I was sitting around the table one night trying to figure out cakes with my family, and my sister's like, you should do cherries on the inside. It's like, well, duh, that's my thing. So I did. That one is probably one of the easier cakes to do, I would say, because it's minimal deconstruction on it. But yeah, that's actually one I did in a live demonstration for a class, which was fun. This is my favorite design. I created this rosette design in January 31st of 2011. And that design that you see on the outside is now sold in bakeries around the world, which is kind of awesome.
Really?
There's a really, Harrods, the really famous in London, they sell that in their bakery, that design, which is kind of awesome.
Can you walk, I know very little about frosting and icing and decorating. What exactly is that on that design? Because it's beautiful. It looks like a wedding cake.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. That is basically an open star tip or a closed star, depending on your preference, and it takes all of 5, maybe 10 minutes to do from beginning to end. You basically are piping out circles on the side of the cake, and that's it. And it just creates this beautiful rosette. And lots of people would do like the ombre. I did a Neapolitan, so it's the chocolate on the bottom, and then the vanilla, and then strawberry. And so it's like an ombre effect. And is that how you say ombre?
Never really. So.
Okay.
That's how I say it.
So then there's the house cake, which I actually went back and forth with my publishers because they wanted this on the cover. And I do not like this cake. I just thought it was like too bold or something. Like it was the outside is all subtle and blue and soft, and then the inside is bam, bright red and black. And so, but they thought it was like the greatest surprise, because the outside is the fence and clouds, and so they thought when you cut into it, that was the best surprise inside cake. And so it's so actually on the British Amazon, that's the cover of their. They don't have an actual cover on there. So yeah,
it looks like a little English house, like a little. It's just the heart is so warm and welcoming.
I know, the heart is just so adorable.
Is that next? Oh, there it is. Yeah, so the heart. This is on the cover of the book, as you already showed them, Rene. And that is basically, I have this is like the grandbaby of my original heart cake. So I basically did the jack-o'-lantern cake, and then the heart cake on my blog, and that is the cake that was actually on Martha Stewart as well. So that's kind of where people started to get more wind of it all. But for what I did for that was I just carved out the interior, and I show that step by step in the book. I carved out the interior, and then I filled it with red velvet cake. And so when you cut in, it was the exact same shape, but it was all red, a big red heart. And then when I was doing the book, I was like, I really want to do something that's still pulled from my blog that my readers are familiar with, but that's something new and really exciting. And I'm obsessed with rainbows, like obsessed on a whole level of it, and like unicorns, like Cake Spy, love her. And so I just
had her on the show, by the way.
Yeah,
she was great.
Oh, she's awesome. She's so talented.
We should get you two on the show together.
Oh my gosh, I would just want to listen though. She's so hilarious. I love talking to her. So this is the bunny cake, and I think Rene, you shared this one. This was of all the cakes since the book has been out that people send me pictures of that they've made, by far the most popular is this cake. And thankfully, every single time I get a picture of it, it looks exactly like the picture in the book, which I'm so excited about. People are making the cakes from the book, and they actually look like they're supposed to, which is exciting. So, yeah.
Amanda, when I was telling my editor that I was going to write a story about this, we were in a meeting, and we're all going around the table, kind of talking about story ideas, and the meeting comes to a full-on stop as I try to describe this, and people are like, "What? There's a rabbit inside the cake?" And I'm like, "No, not a real rabbit." And then it was like, "Well, is it a chocolate rabbit?" I mean, it just went around and around and around. I was like, "No, when you cut it." And I was like, guys, just trust me and wait for the pictures.
I love that. Yeah, that was I've heard that before. When people try to describe it, people can't get their minds around it, and it's kind of there was the Daily Mail in, I think it's England. It's like the New York Times in England. Their paper shared some cakes from the book and some images, and there was a person on there that was adamant, like trying to convince everyone that nothing in these images was real, that it was all photoshopped, and like, how dare I put my name on there and say that these cakes were real and stuff. And I just want to be like, did you see the step-by-step tutorial? That was a cake. That was a cake. Step 2, and yeah, it's not Photoshop. I swear. So I'm sorry. Okay, so we're on. That is
how long do the cakes? Oh, I was gonna say, how long do the cakes usually take you to make?
Well, a lot of the cakes in the book are what I call the deconstruction method, and that can take over the course of days. Because I like to work with very chilled cake. So I will bake the cake, and then I will chill the cake, and then I will deconstruct, as in like remove parts of the cake, and then chill it, and then maybe need to bake another cake to add something back in. So that can take a long period of time. I've sort of moved on in my processes with working with different methods, and so I do a method now that's far faster, and that's basically you take a shape and put it into of cake that's like an egg for Easter. So I'd bake a cake, a sheet cake, and use a cookie cutter and cut out eggs of my baked sheet cake, and then put that into cake batter and pour batter over the top of it, and then bake that. And so it would come out the same. It's some people refer to it as a twice baked method. It's basically rebaking cake, and it stays moist and delicious. It doesn't dry out. but it's very forgiving when it comes to time and creativity. You can basically do any design that you want. So, yes. So a lot of the cakes in the book, I recommend, reading the directions from beginning to end, and then allowing yourself time, and always make yourself a practice cake. Because once you make one of these cakes and cut into it, you'll be instantly addicted to that feeling and everyone's faces when there's something inside of your cake, and you'll want to make more anyway. So it's really super fun.
And so you want to do the tester one just to kind of like get out the kinks and just make sure it's that much more perfect when people actually open the real thing?
Yes. Yes.
So do your kids just live on cake? I think I might want to move to your house.
Minnesota, Rene. It's cold there.
It's cold.
Okay. Well,
and I was telling Babette I was telling Babette we had a bear on our deck 2 nights ago. So there's bears here. That's not fun.
Okay. Well, maybe you could send cakes to us.
Okay. The
cakes when you're that you don't, maybe you're done with them and you're like moving on to the perfect cake. Send the remains to us. We'll take care of it. We'll polish it off.
I can do that. That sounds good. My kids actually don't. They're not huge fans of cake. We don't. I don't. I don't serve it to them usually. I make so many cakes that they're kind of over it. They for birthdays and things they request ice cream and ice cream only. Some of them request frosting only, no cake. I don't know if I did a rainbow cake for my daughter that was like this huge mammoth 6-layer cake, and I took pictures of it, and people were like, "Wow, that's so amazing!" And like the reality was that there was pieces of cake not hardly barely eaten, like on the table. It was like they were like, Mom. What?
Oh, that's so funny. I like the idea of just frosting too. Just give me a bowl of frosting. Buttercream frosting. I'm not sure it gets really any better than that.
They do frosting shots. I forgot. I think it's at Sprinkles or a couple of the cupcake shops. And I'm always so tempted. And Eric's like, "Don't eat that. It's the worst thing for you." And I'm like, "Well, it's so good." Okay. All right. Let's go through some of these pictures. We have about 20 minutes left, so I want to make sure we get through all these photos too.
Okay.
See, it goes by fast, doesn't it, Amanda?
It does. I have 26% battery life on my computer as well, so.
Oh, you should plug in.
I'm so sorry.
You should make sure. Let us know if it goes down further.
Run away really dramatically for something.
You know what? Almost every single time we have a guest on the show, they're always like, my battery's gonna die. I need to plug in right now. And we're like in the middle of the show, and we're always like, we get it. We totally understand.
I'm sorry.
All right, so this is actually the bunny cake, right?
So this is the bunny cake. So for this cake, you need to bake a pink cake. For that's going to be the nose of your bunny when you do it. So what I do is I bake my pink cake, and then I use a little tiny cookie cutter, and that's a 2-inch cookie cutter. And so I put that in the center of my pink cake, and I put that in the center of my white cake. And then so I have the same shape. And then I carve a like diamond or cone shape out of both cakes, and then swap them out. Basically, I put the pink cone into the white cake, and that's going to be my bunny nose. And so then I'm going to have extra cake left over. Cake, I call it cake mixture, and this is basically a cake pop. If you've ever had a cake pop, Bakerella.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's all that this is. It's cake with frosting, and then you mix it together and create that cake mixture. And so I just create for the eyes for the bunny, I would roll out a snake in white, and then have a little bit of black, add black food coloring. So I'd put the white snake around the cake, and then put the black over the top for the blacks, or maybe it was opposite that. The black snake with the white over the top, and then assemble the cakes. We have different layers. You're gonna have to look at the book too. I apologize. I'm not giving very good direction. And then I just took a tiny little star tip and just dabbed out. That doesn't look good, right? Stop doing that, right? Sorry.
No, that's right.
Never mind.
That's the pink bunny tail.
I'm just dabbed out white all over the whole cake, like for funny fuzzy bunny frosting, and then pink for the tail. And then for the ears, you just get candy melts. And I just took a piece of parchment and I used a pencil and drew out an ear, flipped it over so you don't get pencil on your candy melt, and then pipe out melted candy melts in pink, and then do the center in white, and then stick them in the ear. And one of the people that shared their bunny cake on Instagram, she actually did candy melt with one of her ears like folded over, like a cute little bunny. Like she did that in chocolate, and it was so cute. I was like, why didn't I think of that? So yeah, I mean, people can really just use their creativity and do whatever to get the basic ideas on how to do a surprise inside cake, and then they can create anything within their imagination.
The you have several cakes that are maybe not quite as elaborate as the bunny cake. I'm trying to think of one was I think like an elegance cake or New Year's Eve cake. So they're not all quite this complicated, but they are all just absolutely gorgeous. But I thought that once you kind of understand the techniques that you're using in this book, that people are really kind of free to experiment and kind of come up with their own color combinations and their own designs, right? It's almost like the book is about giving people a technique that then they can expand on.
That's exactly it. I basically share 3 different techniques in the book. So one is the deconstruction method that we just kind of went through in the bunny cake, and that is taking cake out and replacing it with cake, and then reassembling your cake. There's also then the twice baked method. That's in the candle rose cake. You'll see that. And then there's also the batter manipulation is what I call it, and that's basically using batter to create the design, and that's in the leopard cake and in the sunset cake. I did that. And so within those, once you learn that specific technique, it opens up a world of what you can create within it. And then also, I think the first 4 or 5 cakes in the book are all layer cakes. And so I really recommend that if anyone wants to start doing surprise inside cakes, that you just start with a layer cake. That is going to get you comfortable with dyeing your batter a different color, with touching the cake, with, oh, there you go.
Let's see if I can come. So this is something that you can do that maybe is not quite as complicated, but you can just see how dazzling that display would be if people, I don't know, can you see that fully?
Yep.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to find, do you know which cake I'm talking about? The New Year's, I think you had suggested.
It's a New Year's. Yep, I think it's a 13-layer cake, and it's basically as hard and as simple as that sounds. It's simply 13 layers of cake, but it's specifically for a New Year's Eve celebration. So for this year, we would do 14, then 15, but it's pretty darn impressive when you cut into it. And also, you kind of have to serve it like on a dinner plate, not even like a side cake plate, because it's so tall and big. But
let's see if we can. See that. Look at all those layers.
So one of my favorite cakes in the book. What?
I was going to say that's a perfect cake for people who love frosting, like who want the cake to frosting ratio to be sort of even, as opposed to people who just like want the cake. That's awesome. I love that. That's the kind of cake I would eat. That's definitely. I got the funniest tweet though that just came in. Basically, somebody is saying that they're going to get in trouble for road rage. I think it was Figtails on. I'm gonna look for this this hashtag. But I want to get to this next cake too. Were you gonna say something, Amanda? Before that I cut you off?
I forgot.
So what? So this cake. This is the rainbow heart cake.
Yes. Okay, so that's just the rosette technique on the outside. So what I do to make this cake is two layer cakes. And then for the bottom of the heart, which you can envision would be the pointed part, so I would carve out the pointed part. I basically put a toothpick in the center of the cake, and then I draw a circle around. And then with your knife, you just go in and carve around, so you have a cone coming out of your cake. For the top, if you can imagine the top of a heart is like that, and so I want that inside my cake, and so I basically carve out a tunnel in the cake. And then for the interior, I baked up that was in a 6-inch pan, so it's not quite as big as it may look. So it's 6-inch around, and then a rainbow cake. So to do that, the next step, I don't know if there's another picture. So you can see that it's only that's only a total of 4 inches high, and that you would probably think that it looks huge, but that's going to fit inside our cake. And so I don't know if we can go to the next picture. And so this is where I show out the carving part of it. You can probably go to the next one, and that's more carving. That's how I get how deep I'm going to go into the cake. That's your knife going around the cake, so when I'm getting out the bottom part, the pointed part of the cake. So you can go on the next one.
That's a great idea to mark with your toothpicks to mark the size so you can see the visual. That's a great idea.
Yes, so because we knew that our rainbow cake was 4 inches high total, so I wanted to go 2 inches down into each of my layer cakes. And so I would know exactly, so I just marked my toothpick at 2 inches. And so then in the next picture, we've removed the cone. And then in this one, now I'm starting on the valley part. So I'm going to create a channel, a tunnel in there, and then remove the cake. And then I'll go in with, I use my little baby spoon that Bridget from Bake at 350 and Cheryl from Tidy Mom sent me for Eddie, one of my kids being born. They sent me a baby spoon that has his name on it, and that's like my really scientific kitchen tool that I use for very specific deconstruction. So I'll go get in there and carve out cake, and then once I get it perfect how I want the inside to be, so one layer is the top of our heart, and the bottom layer is the point of our heart. So then I want my red layer to fit in there. So I cut out a little tiny circle in the red layer and then trim off any edges I would need to make it fit, and then just set that right in the cake. And then since I want this to stay together, when you cut into it, every time I put a layer in the cake, I paint it with simple syrup. So that's going to act like as the glue. If you put frosting in there, it's going to be chunky and it's going to take up too much space and it's not going to fit. And so I just use the simple syrup and brush that on. And then I did the same thing with the orange, only cut a little bit of a smaller hole so it fits in there. And then a tiny, even smaller hole for the yellow and fit the yellow around. So that's done. So I would set that aside and then get to work on the bottom part. So I'd carve out just the tiniest little cone shape out of the purple and set that in, sprinkle with simple syrup, and then keep doing my layers. Then there's blue, and then green, and now put a little frosting over the edge, and now you have to really keep track of what's what. You don't want the upside down heart. So, now that I've ever done that, totally done that. So
just imagine.
So then you flip over your cake on top, and then that's it. That's like literally it's not as hard as it looks.
That is so cute. I gotta do that.
That is crazy. Hey, over on Twitter, Linda Horn tweeted us a photo of a cake. She said she learned the rosettes from your blog. And she tweets out a picture of her take on your rosettes. And Amanda, I think you're going to be very proud because this cake is just drop dead gorgeous. So I'm going to tweet that out to people using the Kitchen Party hashtag. But she wanted to show you her version as well.
Way to go, Linda! Awesome.
Here's
the beautiful.
Here's the tweet from Figtail at Figtail on Twitter. I might have been guilty of road rage during trying to get home to watch I Am Baker tweets and at BakeSpace at KitchenParty, and then she used the hashtag worth it. Aww. We do not promote crazy driving, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta do. And Figtails also says that she loves it when Baker bloggers recognize each other. And she said, I Am Baker tweets just gave a shout out to Bake at 350 tweets. And she said, hashtag I missed the other name. Do you remember the other name that you mentioned, Amanda?
It was Tidy Mom. Cheryl from TidyMom.net.
Yeah. It's very, I definitely appreciate you flagging us to other bloggers so we can check out what they're doing too.
Aw, I love promoting other bloggers. So if you ever want to know more, I'm happy to send you a list of all the amazingness out there.
You know what the fun part about doing the show is that usually somebody on the show will be like, oh, you should talk to so-and-so. And since you've been on the show, you kind of know, like, what we do here. You see the whole thing and you're part of it. And usually we've had such great response from folks. I mean, Rene is an awesome interviewer, and she's adorable, and she makes me look good. You know, we give you guys a couple of cocktails. And then it all works out. No, we totally love having folks on the show. Next week we have a woman who is doing. Her name's Kristen, and she is doing pet friendly. She has a show about pets, and she's doing treats. So we're gonna have Renee's dog, my 2 dogs, her dog, all of them are going to be on the show. So it's going to be very interesting. No,
I'm totally tuning into that. My dog would love to eat something other than plain old boring kibble.
Well, with all these crazy recalls and stuff, you're just like, I want to make something. So I've been thinking about baking for my dogs, and Eric thinks I'm crazy, but I figure he's like, bake me something. Bake me something. I should bake him a surprise cake that has like something crazy. He loves the drums, like to play the drums. Okay. I would love to bake him a cake that has a drum set in it. How would I do that?
Okay, so I would recommend trying to find a drum set cookie cutter, which you probably could. And then you're going to want to get a loaf pan, like for banana bread, and see if it fits in the pan. And if it doesn't, then you'll have to switch to like a 9-inch round. But basically, you want to bake the cake, probably gold drums, I don't know. Bake like a golden cake, sheet cake, and then do a bunch of as many designs as you can cut out of the cookie cutter, and then pour like a 1/4 to a 1/2 cup of another cake batter. Like I would probably go white. If you go too dark, it's going to be too crumbly on your drums. So pour like a 1/4 to a 1/2 cup of batter into your pan, and then set the drums upright, and then pour the rest of your batter over it, and then bake as you normally would, like 35-45 minutes. And when he cuts into it, there will be his perfect little drum set.
Wow, I cannot believe you just did that on the fly.
You can totally do it. It's so super easy.
I love it.
That's what we're here for. On the fly, surprise inside cakes. That's my next book.
What are you doing next? That's my next book. What are you doing next? What's your plan?
I am on a hiatus. This whole process was really super stressful, and I also homeschool my 5 kids. And
oh my God, I can't believe that.
So I had to put them in school. So they went to school for 9 weeks of this entire school year, because I was like doing a book promo and tours, and I was leaving all the time. And I was like, oh, kids, can you learn something from Super Mario Kart today? Are they doing addition? So I would like to get back to, being a mom again and taking care of the babies. And I think I Am Mommy is ultimately my role in this world. I Am Baker's fun, but ultimately I am Mommy.
Wow. That is amazing. You need to put together a time management book. Seriously, I can't believe you homeschool on top of everything else. We need your tips and tricks.
I'll work on it in my spare time.
What time do you get up during the daytime?
My baby wakes up typically between 6 and 7, so it's not that atrocious.
It's not bad.
But I'm up 5 times during the night with her too, so still nursing. Which everyone wants to know. Should we talk more about my boobs? No? Okay.
You're hilarious. Well, guys, it's 6:59. I got so confused with the time today because I'm 3 hours ahead right now, and I did a testing for next week's show, and my laptop said 11 a.m., but it was really East Coast time, and I hadn't adjusted it. I thought, for some reason, I was thinking laptops change when you go into a different. You know how your iPhone changes or your phone changes? Laptops don't do that. You have to set them manually. So I'm looking, and I said, oh, I'm sorry. I said, I forgot, we're doing the testing today, but we're doing it at 11 West Coast time. It's Pacific. I made a mistake. And she's like, I am not crazy. It is 11. I was like, oh, my God.
That is
on Saturday.
Hey, you know what,
we're going
Amanda?
to see the...
I'm sorry to ask you this question again, but I know I asked it to you and then I immediately forgot your answer. You had given a shout out to who else? To the other baker. I want to tweet both of her. You said
Bake at
350 tweets and then
Tidy Mom at Tidy Mom.
Okay, I thought you said Heidi Mom. I've been like searching for Heidi Mom. Okay, Tidy Mom.
TidyMom.net.
I'm not going to forget it this time.
That's okay. Yeah.
What's her first name, Tidy Mom?
Cheryl.
What's her first name? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Okay,
Cheryl.
that's right.
She does some great Google Hangouts. You should snag her up before she gets too big. Not fat.
Yeah, she's blonde, right? She's blonde?
Yes.
Because I follow her too. It's so funny with everyone. It's like you know people's avatars, and then you know their Twitter handles, and then you kind of know like their logo, and it's like sometimes putting the three together, you can't you know the person, but then you're totally lost. You're like, what's going on?
That's exactly it.
Well, you have been wonderful, and I hope you come back. So you're not planning a cookbook anytime soon. Will you?
Yeah, I'm looking at least 6 months out to entertain the idea. So it's a ways off.
Is your publisher like, come on, let's get this going while it's hot? Because it takes like 2 years to publish the cookbook.
Yeah. No, I think since my publisher is also managing the Pioneer Woman, I think they're like, yeah, take as much time as you need. We're quite busy over here. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, you've been great. So if you have news, please definitely
over on Twitter, Figtail says it. Yes. Over on Twitter, Figtail says that she loves that you say that your role in the world is really I am mommy. So we definitely appreciate knowing your vacation and finding your vacation bliss.
Aw, Figtail's totally loving you. So sweet.
Renee, we can make a cake soon.
I think so. We have to make a cake with like a kitchen party or something. Maybe like a glass of booze or something in the middle of it.
There you go. And you could do like champagne buttercream.
Oh, that sounds
or
good.
Bourbon flavored.
Or bourbon buttercream.
Bourbon.
With like salted caramel drizzle.
Ooh, yeah. I like that. I'm liking that.
Maybe your next book is alcohol-infused cakes.
Sure.
And we'll be over to test those.
I need to do extensive testing on the subject first, though.
There you go. There you go.
All right, guys. You were wonderful. You were just so sweet to be part of this and to let us into your world and give us some insight into how to make these amazing cakes. I'm definitely going to make the drum set. I think that is a cool idea. And Renee, I'll post a picture of it when I get around to doing it. I'm going to definitely do that.
I have a video on YouTube as well. That's called the Countdown Cake, but it's the same idea. So if you want to go see exactly how it's done in 4 minutes, I think it is. That might be helpful to you.
Is your YouTube channel I Am Baker?
I think it's Amanda2177, but I think you can find it if you search Countdown Cake, like as in New Year's Eve Countdown Cake. That was just, I did 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So every time you cut into the cake, it was you were counting down. Get it?
That is so cute.
But it's the same premise.
So
that might help.
Okay, I don't like to promote my own stuff, but I will also tweet out the Kitchen Party hashtag the post that I did on Amanda's book, and it has like a 21-page photo gallery with it. So if somebody wants to see a more in-depth look at how the gallery is put together, I'm not trying to promote my story. I'm trying to promote the photos in her book. So you can take a look at that, and you'll be able to see a more detailed look.
So promotional. Just kidding. You're never promotional. You're not promotional enough. You're like the opposite of promotion. You're like the
it's not me. It's her.
You should be doing your own show. You do awesome stuff.
Yeah.
I love following you. Your Instagram makes me happy.
We've been trying to get her to do a workout, fit, healthy eating show.
Yeah, except
and now
that
you have no excuse, Renee.
I only do that
children.
I know. Right?
I watch it.
Well, I don't want to stop the show. I don't want to stop the show, but we have to because our folks they get used to it ending at a certain time. So maybe we'll have to figure out We may start a show called Wine and Wine, where we drink wine and we whine. With
What is my language?
we won't say bad language, but we will whine a lot.
Ooh, grapes.
So,
Friendly grapes.
If you want to whine, let us know, because we're looking for whiners.
I'm on it. I am there no matter when it happens.
All right, guys.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, Renee. I will see you next week. And
Amanda, I hope you're feeling better. That's right. Kitchen Party hug. I gotta get a manicure.
Mine look great.
All right, guys. We will see you later. See you next week, guys. Bye.